Because Kendrick Lamar and Drake aren't even necessarily doing bad. Hip hop is doing bad because of this. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. What's up? Welcome back to MopedJet. Why is it called MopedJet? Because I want a moped and I want a jet, and that's it. And this is glassesless. I got no glasses on because I've noticed in my past videos that there's been a weird glare off the computer from my glasses. So I'm gonna try to go glassesless. So if I mess up anything, blame it on my temporary blindness. Um, Actually, I can see pretty decent. I got 2015 in one eye, 2040 in the other one. So the other one's definitely not doing their fair share. So it's been a while. It's been a while. I've been gone doing stuff. I've been doing weddings. Like I said before, I have another wedding this weekend. And then work. We had to change the changing of the guard. So now I'm working under a new person, which is good. It's actually much better than before. Without going into any details, in case if anybody hears this from work, you never know. I've had my manager pop his head into my office, and he was like, "Hey, I saw your set," and I was like, and my heart, like when you were a kid, how fast your heart dropped when you're like, you go to the principal's office. It was like one of those feelings because I I kind of try to separate myself, my real self, when I'm at work as possible because I try to let people at work get to know the real me. It just doesn't seem to work out. Okay, you just don't. I just don't seem. It doesn't seem to mesh well with my coworkers. So I decided it's for the best if I just keep all of this to myself and my loved ones and just go in and do the work. So when I found out my boss heard my set, I was like, oh shit. A little bit of that cover got blown a little bit, but we're good. We're good. But what do I want to talk about? Like I said, I got another wedding I'm heading to, and it's today is Halloween that I'm recording this on. The wedding is after Halloween, and no offense to the guy that because he's so cool. He came to my wedding. It seems like a cool guy. He's my wife's friend, but I was just like when I first heard that, I'm like, uh, really odd time to pick a wedding. You're gonna, like right after Halloween. I mean, not even just because it's Halloween. I'm not even that big on Halloween per se. Like, I'm not, it doesn't matter to me. But it's just odd. It's odd to try to pick a wedding day, in my opinion, anywhere near a holiday or around it, just because it's the people's focus on the holiday. But I guess that's what they wanted to do. I guess that's what they wanted to do. But I got some things I wanted to talk about before I go to that wedding. Excuse my hair. I'm gonna get a I'm gonna get a haircut later. Okay, so roast me in the comments now if you want. But I'm gonna get a haircut later today. And I always seem to do these podcasts right before I get a haircut. Never after. Right before. So you can see my messiest, hairiest self before you see me all cleaned up. But I gotta get more haircuts. I gotta do a lot more stuff. I bought a suit. Like, I bought formal wear because I'm 31 and I decided one day, like, it's cool. Like, right now I'm wearing a hoodie because it's mine, because I made it. Bonfire.com/store/emporium. I made this. Get this in the camera. But I was looking at my other clothes and I'm like, man, like, I kind of gotta grow up, right? I got a lot of t shirts, a lot of hoodies, and stuff. But then I have like this work section, and it's a decent amount of formal wear. But I noticed that a lot of my people around me, they all are dressing the same way, kind of bummy, kind of too relaxed. And I think I would really stand out if I stepped it up a little bit. So I think I'm gonna step into my casual formal era. I got like these Dockers, these slip-on Dockers, because I still want to be somewhat comfortable. I'm not trying to bend down and tie my shoes. That's what are we in 2010? So I got some slip-on Dockers. And they look awesome. And I've been noticing the difference like in society when you go out in the world, I guess, presented I don't know what it is, but people just seem to treat you differently. They treat you with more respect. I've been called sir a lot more. I had to double check if I got wrinkles or something. Like, did I get wrinkles now? I mean, I probably got some wrinkles. I mean, I'm 31, but the comparison, I wearing when I wear clothes like I'm wearing right now out in public as a black man, I get a lot of buddies. I get a lot of guys, right? I get a lot of mans. But when I dress the way I'm talking about, I got a lot of sirs. I got a lot of Joshuas. Like at work, people call me by my first name. Like a lot of I don't know. It's like a silent respect booster. So if you want respect, if you're getting bullied, try wearing a suit around him. Maybe he'll start calling you sir. I don't know. Try that one. I never tried that as a kid. I never really got bullied though. So, but there's one thing I want to talk about now that I'm not warmed up. We've gotten to the podcast. I've noticed there's some sentiment in hip hop. Well, first of all, now we're talking about hip. There's a lot of first of alls in hip hop. I don't know if you listened to my last podcast, but like I said, I was working and have worked on and have finished working on excuse me, my most recent album. I sent it to mastering, sent it to Netherlands, and it's mastered. I'm just waiting to get all the artwork and the promotional material and the strategy around it finished. But the music is done, and I will say it is the best project I've ever done. And I'm not saying that just, I know everyone says that about the new project. This is objectively, like, I went back and listened to my back catalog. This is the best project I've ever done because this is the first time, not the first time, like, oh my, Origami, Indigo Intervals, those came, and Max Fleischer, those came out exactly how I wanted them to come out. But this one came out exactly how I wanted to come out, but sounds on par with in my opinion, on par with everything else that's out. Like I was listening to my album and listening to other rappers, and I can tell any drop in quality. Like I feel like it sounds professional. Uh, I sound professional. I sound like I should be in the game. And yeah, so for people that had those comments, listen to this album and then shut up. Even though your comments don't matter, because you shouldn't listen to anybody. This is advice for everyone. You shouldn't listen to anybody's opinion or comment on the internet that doesn't have a profile picture that's a real thing. If they have a profile picture of Sonic, their opinion automatically doesn't matter. If they have a profile picture of the It Clown, their opinion automatically does not matter. If you're not even brave enough to show a modicum of your real self, or at least a cartoon version of yourself or something like that, if you're SpongeBob on the internet, your opinion does not matter because you don't even identify as an actual human being on this platform. So take that for anybody. If you're having trouble on the internet and you feel like you're getting trolled, just check their profile picture and just be like, oh, that they are irrelevant. Okay, I'm not going to get into a fight with Kirito. I'm not doing that. But speaking of opinion, I've seen a lot of opinions. Again, speaking of, I've seen a lot of opinions on hip hop recently because there's been news that hip hop has fallen out of the Billboard 100 for the first time in 35 years. Oh, I'm getting spikes. Excuse me. For the first time in 35 years, and that somehow has brought up the sentiment again between Drake and Kendrick Lamar that this is Kendrick Lamar's fault, that all of this is Kendrick Lamar's fault, or that all of this is Drake's fault because he's not dropping music as consistently anymore. Both opinions are wrong, if you ask me. Both opinions are, once again, I've noticed this in hip hop a lot, that the audience always wants to see, they always skip over the huge problem and want to attack the few people at the top that have been doing hip hop justice. It always seems to do, right? They always seem to skip over the players. And I'll say who I'm about to say. I'm gonna say what I'm talking about. But they always seem to skip over the main problems. It's like, it's kind of like, it reminds me a lot of soccer in a way. You probably don't know anything about soccer if you're listening to this, if you're from America, but in soccer / football, there's a lot of opinions that happen in amongst the fans of a club, and they'll blame all of the problems on the manager, on the coach, despite players being consistently bad, despite players being consistently lazy, despite players being consistently like, stop, start, showing potential, then stop it. They won't talk and call out those players and won't say like, actually, this manager is decent. They're doing a good job. They'll only talk about when they're doing bad, and that's what I feel like. Oh, well, not even. I guess that's not even a good comparison because Kendrick Lamar and Drake aren't even necessarily doing bad. Hip hop is doing bad because of this. I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. Hip hop is doing bad because of these people. I'm gonna say them. These people. What was it? 2016. Let me make sure I won't say all of them. That's why I don't want to say, because I don't know exactly who was in this class. Because there's some people in every double XL class that are good. But I'm going to name the exact people that have started and are to blame. Come on, man. For this okay, thank you. For this downfall. Thank you, being AI. Kodak Black, 21 Savage, Little Uzi Vert, Little Yachty, G Herbo, and Little Dicky. Those are the people, those are some main names that are responsible for this. Because ever since that legendary 2016 Double XL freshman cypher, everything in hip hop was going. And now we're finally at the part. We've been going since 2016. But people are like, oh, these people are great. These non-winning Grammy-ass motherfuckers are awesome. These polarizing rappers that don't get objective respect from everybody that are fans of the genre, they're great for the genre. Let's bring more of them. Let's bring more of them. So we did, and we did, and we did. So let's go to the 2017 list. Most of these people don't even... Playboy Carti. He's another one. He dropped the album, right? He dropped an album, and everyone said, oh, album of the year, album of the year. Why is it not charting, then? This is what I'm saying. Like, we need to start blaming these people for where hip-hop is now. Not Kendrick and Drake and anyone from that class. Because they actually brought hip-hop to where it is today to call itself falling. Like, when they got into the game, when ringtone rap and early mixtapes were out, hip-hop wasn't that genre. It wasn't that popping yet. It was that class. It was Kanye. Kanye, he was popping, but he was kind of that early class. But it was a class out in the late mixtapes, the late 2000s, early 2010s, that really brought hip-hop to where it is. The Kendricks, the Coles, the Drakes, the Tylers. Those people brought hip-hop, the Gambinos, brought hip-hop to where it is. For these people to come in and ruin it. And no one wants to call those people out. They want to say, oh, it's because Kendrick and Drake were the biggest thing in hip-hop last year because these people can't make moments in hip-hop for us because they're bad. They're terrible artists. They're bad. And if you like them, man, bro, you are slow, bro. Because I read a quote somewhere, because we need these artists. We need them around, but they are the problem. But we need them because you can only... I read the quote somewhere, or I heard a quote somewhere, and it's so true, and it's so sad, but true, that you can only be entertained by your intelligence level, right? So, if you're dumb as shit... J. Cole is uninteresting to you. Kendrick is uninteresting to you. Because they're challenging your brain a little too hard. Gambino is not that interesting to you. Because he's not saying low-level stupid shit. Now, these rappers I just named, I call them laundry list rappers or grocery list rappers because they always talk about what they got. That's it. Or what they have. It's just, I have a this, I got a this, I got a bit, I got a this, I want a this, I got a that, you got a this, I'm gonna take that. It's always, I'm gonna do blank. A-B-ass rap. Very good for the slow motherfuckers, you know? Very good for the stupid people. They relate like that. They get it like that. Microwave food is good for you, but if in a pinch, you know, that's what it is. But we've been eating it as a 3-course meal, as a 3-course diet. We've been eating it for what? Since for 9 years, almost 10 years. In a few months it'll be 10 years. So, like, this is what we rot. Bring that quote back. So stop blaming Kendrick. Kendrick didn't kill hip hop. Stop blaming Drake. Drake not dropping didn't kill hip hop. It was everybody celebrating all these losers, dude, that killed hip hop. Because these are the people that we rely on now. This was the generation. We didn't find another Kendrick. We didn't find another Drake. For every 9 motherfucker, like this whole, look at this class, this 2017 class: Playboy Cardi, Ugly God, Made in T.O., Kamaya, A Boogie with the Hoodie, PNB Rock. Amine is the only artist in there. Cap G, Kyle, if you want to give him that. Triple X Tentacion, sure, but he was weird, bro. I ain't gonna get. He was cool. He did do some different stuff. I'm not gonna say like he wasn't an artist, and he actually did have a lot of potential. He'd probably be doing some amazing stuff if he was alive. But you know what I'm saying? The only one that's really a music pushing, done stuff that you've never heard before artist is Amine. And I'm not even a huge fan of Amine. I just give flowers. I'm an objective person. Every time I heard an Amine song, it's been something I've never heard before, whether I liked it or not. He tries something different. All these people I made, they use the same 808s. They use the same kind of auto-tune crying, singing over a chick type music. And it's good for the slow brain. That's why the genres, this opinion pretty much took of the whole thing. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up. That's my opinion on that. I don't care what anyone thinks. I'm a better rapper than all the people I named. So that doesn't matter. If you don't believe it, check me out, bro. ohsojosh. I did comedy last night. First time in a while. It felt great to punch the bag again. It felt so great. I found this I got this fashion hoodie that I'm gonna start wearing all the time to those shows. I'm trying to make like a comedy outfit. I'm trying to make like a uniform. I'm really trying, because I don't know, man. It's something about like having a mask or uniform on that lets me break the walls down a little more. That lets me do a lot more ridiculous stuff. Like it's just weird. I don't know if it's like if I'm like Jim Carrey in The Mask or something, but it's like one time I was a mascot for my job. One time I dressed up as Andy the Armadillo, and I didn't personally feel like I was different, but being in that big suit, knowing that everyone can only see an armadillo, let me, do a lot more stuff. I was doing a lot more finger guns than I would do in real life. I remember one time the dab was really big at that time, so some kids at the table were like, "Do your dab," and I did it, and then I would never do that if I was just serving in my usual uniform. And that's what that is. It's kind of like a mascot uniform. Like I put this on, I already know I look ridiculous, so it's not hard to be more ridiculous, I guess. I guess that's what it is. I nailed it. I'm my own psychiatrist, dude. Therapy is a scam. Just talk to yourself in a microphone in a closet for 20 minutes. You'll figure everything out. You'll figure everything out. Yeah, man. I'm so glad though that this next wedding. Oh my god. I almost said funeral. I don't know why I do that. When I was first getting married, I kept doing that with wedding and funeral. Like I tell people like my funeral is blank. And that was a Freudian slip like a mofo, and I would do it so consistently my wife hated me every time I did it. But I just did it again. But maybe because it's Halloween. I'm more in the spooky spirit. Uh, but yeah, go to this wedding. I'm just so glad I don't have to fly, because what I've found out that I like flying more on paper. Like, like when people flex that in music, like, oh, I went to sleep in New York and I woke up in LA. Like that sucks. That sucks. Because the fatigue, I didn't even fly that consistently back to back, but I did. We flew to our honeymoon, then we flew to Los Angeles, and see, that was it. That was it, and it felt like we did a lot more flying. It felt a lot more annoying. I felt I'm I must be tripping. Yeah, I'm tripping because yeah, that was only 2 trips, but it felt like we went on 3 or 4 different plane rides. So I couldn't imagine going on a tour where you have to go on a plane every day, pretty much, or every 5 days, guaranteed for 6 months. I don't, nah, man. I'm gonna have to get a tour bus, bro. Honestly, if I ever did do a tour, I already have a plan how I do it because I think people do tours in an odd way. I've seen people. No, I should probably. Nah, who cares? I'm not. Who cares? But I see people like they'll be in LA one weekend and then Baton Rouge the next weekend, and like bouncing all around the country, not giving themselves really that much of a break. And I don't understand why they don't schedule regionally. Why don't they just do? I guess because they want to hit everywhere in that 6 months. But I would just honestly, I'd rather just do like a 3 month tour, 3 month Midwest tour, then take 3 months off, then do a 3 month East Coast tour, then 3 months off, and that's the year. And then the next year I do the 3 months West Coast tour, uh, 3 months off, and then I do the South and the North because you don't really have to do that much in the North. I mean, who live? Man, Montana is big, but who's in Montana? It's one of those. Like, it's one of those. So you can hit Montana a couple times. You can hit North Dakota a couple times, but you really just got to hit the South really hard, and then hit a couple of them northern states, and then that could be the other 3 months, and then 3 months off, and you just every year, and you can switch it up if you want. Maybe do West, West, South, and then, or I mean West, Midwest, and then North, South, East. Do whatever you want, but I don't understand why people don't do it regionally. They just bounce all around, and then of course the European tour. Europe is as big as the Midwest in terms of size, so you could do a European tour in 6 months and hit everywhere. So that's a whole different talk. But yeah, if I ever get on tour in anything, comedy, music, I just don't understand why people don't do it like that. Because that's why you really have to fly. Because I would just get a nice tour bus, and okay, maybe that first trip when we have to trip to New York, that might be rough in the tour bus. But after that, it's not that rough. You just gotta duck it out. Just go from city to city after that. And if we get tired of the tour bus in the city, we can rent a hotel and then get right back on the tour bus in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Like, a plane is just brutal, bro. I had a kid run into my dick at the plane. Oops. That's how I transitioned into that. That's how we transitioned into that. And it wasn't at the plane. It was at the terminal when I was at checkout. There was this nice travel stop store, and I was at checkout. And first of all, I don't know what's up with these new parents. Teach your kids boundaries, because these new parents are ass. These new parents, they nerfed parents. I don't know if it's the laws, I don't know if it's the culture, but parents have been nerfed. They need to rebuff parents. At least when I'm a parent, I'm glitching and I'm buffing up, because these kids, some of them have no boundaries in terms of other people exist. Like, I went to this Halloween function earlier, and a kid almost ran into my dick there. We went to go see pumpkin carvings, and me and my wife at the time, I just heard, I'm trying to be a good husband and surprise her with stuff. I didn't look into the details of this. I just saw pumpkin extravaganza while driving home, and I said, I'll take her to that. That's how I get my blowjob. I'll take it to the pumpkin extravaganza. That's how I'll get my hand job. So I took it to pumpkin extravaganza, not knowing that it was a thing involving all like schools in the area on the West Coast. So it was a bunch of kids and their families. It was just cool. We were the odd ones out, being the couple with no kids. Just looking at carvings of kids. There were some adult carvings. It had to be because some were really intricate. But anyway, we're in one part where there's like a square type of area, and these kids were running back and forth at full speed to try to find their pumpkins, and they're zipping across me, and one zipped across me and then wanted to do what I call the Midwest turnaround, because it only happens what I've seen in the Midwest, where someone will be walking then suddenly turn around in a public space. Like you can't just suddenly turn around in a public space where other people are walking. That's Walmart, that's the state fair, that's school. You have to do a lateral walk to the side and then turn around, get into the other lane. Because people behind you are going your way. So if you suddenly turn around, you're going to run into somebody. You might kiss somebody. So no one wants to get kissed on accident. So this kid did the Midwest turnaround and almost kissed my dick. And I had to literally jump out of the way like I was dodging a dodgeball. So I didn't look perverted or weird or anything. You know what I'm saying? Not that I wanted it. I don't. It's after that, I was really actually upset. Like, I talked to my wife, and I was like, yo, like, these kids, they need to learn something. And she was like, relax. I was like, no, but they need to learn, bro. Like, what? When I was a kid, it was strictly next to your parent, and that was it. If you left your parents, like, arm length, you were out of bounds. And you felt it and knew it. But these kids don't care, bro. And at the terminal, I was at checkout, and some kid ran. There was like candies at my leg. The kid ran in front of me, like absolutely in front of me, and he picked up some Skittles that were right next to my dick, and he reached down and his ear lobe hit my dick, and he didn't even say anything about that. He just said, look, Mom, they got the Skittles I want. Didn't even pick them up, just identified them and ran back. And I felt violated. I don't know if I should even try to make that joke, but I felt like I got reverse molested. I can't say that word backwards. That's how I end the podcast. No, I gotta end the podcast on something better. Oh, here's a good note. This is a quick note. I see a lot of people, I see people on TikTok complaining about capitalism, and that's probably my fault because I'm on TikTok. Honestly, I would delete social media if I didn't do stuff like this, because this is the best way to get your name out there. It's social media, but I would have been delete that. But yeah, I see a lot of people been like, "Oh, late stage capitalism sucks. I'm an I hate consumerism." But I'm just like, you're on a phone, so it's not that you're necessarily the hardcore capitalist, but how can you complain about consumerism when you're doing the most consumerist thing and just sitting on your mini laptop in your pocket? Like, you're not necessarily tending to your garden. You're not even attempting to get off the grid. So suck it up, Buttercup. I guess that's a somber note too. Why can't I end this well? Maybe that's the spooky side of Halloween. There's no good endings. And then someone just comes in and stabs me. Oh, man. But, yeah. I'm really excited about my album. I think I'm really gonna also... Don't tell my wife, but I'm gonna put some money into the advertising, and I'm gonna try to really get this one out, because I think this one's really special. It's the first album that you can listen to on shuffle and it makes sense. And I'm not going to give any details away. And there's also 2 versions of the album. So I got my artistic version and I got my plug it into your playlist, don't want all the artistic fluff on it version. because I know how people are. I'm trying to appeal to y'all. Hopefully this episode appealed to y'all. I know I couldn't really find a good note to end it on, but it's hitting 30 minutes, and I'm not trying to become a real podcast and talk for an hour, or even worse, 2 hours. Hey, if you're a podcast talking for 2 hours, stop. Stop at an hour, okay? You don't need to talk for that long. I know some podcasts go for 4, 5 hours. Some people don't even work for that long, dude. And they definitely don't have to talk that long while they're at work. So, but anyway, this is MopedJet. If you liked it, prove it with the like button. I'm going to try to get some more merch out. But check out my merch store, bonfire.com/store/emporium, EMPORIUM. Get stuff like this. This is power equals work over time. And I got a lot more stuff like that. A lot more stuff coming at you. Check out my streams. If you just look ohsojosh on Google, everything should pop up. I'm streamlining my stuff, my comedy, my music, my streaming, my online personality is now just ohsojosh. So yeah, that's who I am, bro. I'm ohsojosh, and get to know me. Get to know me, man.